Welcome, success listeners. This is Sean Acor here. Many of you know me as the author of The Happiness Advantage, and you might know me as the happiness guy from the pages of Success magazine. So it will come as no surprise that I'm happy to be here with you on the Success CD to interview an expert on the connection between leadership and success, Mr. John Addison. John is the new leadership editor with Success magazine, and his new book on the topic, Real Leadership, is out this month. John, thank you so much for joining me here today. I've been looking forward to our discussion for a while. So let me just jump right in. I know as an author myself that every book has a beginning. So John, what is it that inspired you to write Real Leadership?
Well, Sean, it's great to be here with you today. As I look out in the world today, we have a vacuum of leadership. And I don't just mean in the political front. I mean in so many ways in our society. As you get older, there are a lot of negative things that come with getting older, but it also gives you the vision to kind of see things through the prism of moving forward in your life. And as I look at the world today, there is a real vacuum. And I think too often now, a position or a title of leadership is mistaken for what real leadership is. I believe there are more challenges in the world than at certainly any time in my life. And anytime there are great challenges, the answer to moving forward through those is great leadership.
Well, I think that's part of the reason that I've been so excited that Real Leadership is coming out, because I think, as every generation faces new sets of challenges, I feel like every time we've had a new set of leaders that are born to be able to face those challenges, and they've had to learn from what people have done in the past, what they could be doing in the present. And I think our generation needs it. So I was wondering, this is something I find fascinating, and hopefully people will too, but I'd love to hear about your writing process. How did you get these thoughts that you've accumulated with all this experience out onto a computer? I know that, like, when I'm writing, like I always like to, go to a certain cafe and I'll write for a few hours, then I'll go play tennis for a little bit and come back. And I have I have to stay out of Barnes & Noble because I see all these people with great ideas and I'm like, oh, I should never write a book. What's your writing process?
For me, Addison, the name Addison starts with ADD. So I have a PhD in attention deficit disorder. And for me, it kind of encompasses a lot of things. Number one, that for anyone as they go through their walk of life, I would encourage them, particularly the more organized ones, to keep a journal, to keep notes on what's going on in your life, what your thoughts are. I am an accumulator of notes. If I have a thought, I keep a notepad by my bed because I wake up at night with thoughts and I'll write things down. So for years, as I went through my career of, growing up in one organization, becoming president in 1995, co-CEO in 99, I always had in my mind that one of these days I would want to share the story of what I went through. So I kept notes. Then the second thing I did is, again, I'm not the most technologically advanced human being on earth, and I write on notepads. And so I would sit down and outline chapters, outline concepts on the notepad. And then I worked with a wonderful human being and ghostwriter, John David Mann, who I would take all of those random ideas, thoughts, and things together, and then we would get on the phone for hours. And I would go through the story. It really was a lifetime of keeping notes and then a very organized process, thank God for John David, of going through it and putting it all down on paper.
Well, I love that you said that, because you see these leaders and they're so, like yourself, they're just so incredibly successful that so many people that want to be a leader like that, when they talk to that person is so used to being that proficient leader that they've forgotten some of those intermediary steps that got them there. Sometimes you forget like those beginning steps and those beginning mistakes, and you just see the success. And I love that you were able to go back and to access that. And
absolutely.
Well, I think that that's why your book is so aptly titled with real leadership, because this is real leadership.
And let me just say this to the point you were making about real leadership, because, we went back and forth on that title, and there were a lot of people that felt very strongly about that. I didn't want it to sound like I'm writing some book where, all other leadership books are crap. John Addison has the view of real leadership. When I say real, when the book says real, it means real, authentic, okay? It means being true to who you are. And for each of us, that's a different path, Sean. I mean, your style of leading may be completely different from my style of leading. Okay, we have to be true to our personality and to the kind of DNA, wiring that we have in each of us. But the thing we should try to always be is to be authentic, be the best us. You need to get up every day and try to be the best Sean Aker you can be. I need to get up every day and try to be the best John Addison I can be. And so real means being authentically who you are.
I love that. So I know that people are excited as they're listening to us right now to get into some of the content that you've got in your book. So there are 9 practices that are outlined in your book, and I'm going to put you on the spot here and make you pick one of them. I know they're all valuable, but if there's just one of the practices, which is your favorite to talk about?
I would say of the principles, if I had to pick one, principle number 3, which is build on your strengths, I would say would be, in my mind, the most important one, because being around people who are very self-improvement focused, which most of the people that listening to this are people who are subscribers to Success, who are very focused on success and are very focused on personal development, that so much of personal development is focused at getting better at your weaknesses. Okay. The things that I'm not good at. Okay. I'm going to go work like crazy to get better at that. I remember I talk about it in the book in this chapter, that when I was in college, I decided and this is pre-smartphones, pre any of that kind of stuff. I went to a Franklin Covey seminar to learn how to use, the planner, little pocket planner you got, so you could move things forward and be more organized in keeping up with your, and I just wound up with a mess. Okay. I was no good at that. I'm not one of these to everything a place and a place to everything kind of people. And that is a weakness of mine. But I have things that I am incredibly strong at. Okay, so there are things that every one of us are better than 75% of the people, even if we don't try. You work at it, I don't even try, but I'm better than you just because of DNA, God putting something in us that makes us particularly talented at that. Find what you're good at without trying, and then try like crazy at that. If you work hard at what you're naturally good at, you got a chance to be great at that. The best you'll ever be at a weakness, even when you work at it, is mediocre.
I love that. And I know this interview is not about me, but there's like a decade of scientific research proving how right you are on that. And so I've loved that you're getting that message out to more and more people. I remember my mentor, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar at Harvard, said that, that sweet spot in the research where somebody really achieves at their highest possible level is where they find something they're good at, that they love doing, and that they actually enjoy. And one of my friends added that they can get paid for too. And if you've got those things all together,
that really helps.
It definitely helps, right?
So I could not agree more. And the people that I find that are the happiest in life are the people that have found a way to get a check for something that they probably would be doing anyway.
Yeah. You're so right. And it leads to greater levels of success and greater levels of happiness. And I think that a lot of that is about knowing who you are. I know there was a book released in 2015. It was the 10 Golden Rules of Leadership. And the number one rule in the book is know thyself. Why do you think that's the starting place for all game-changing leaders?
I think for anybody to be an effective leader of others, the first person they've got to lead is themselves. Okay? People aren't stupid. People can smell a phony a mile away. All right? You have to be authentic to who you are. And the first person you've got to lead every single day of your life is yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, which, by the way, is very hard. Okay? Everybody acts like, everybody can tell, everybody wants to change everybody else, but very few people want to change themselves. You got to be honest about the things you got to get better at in your life. And so I believe one of the biggest things you can do every day is to do an inventory of what are your motivations? Are you doing things for the right reasons? I think every great leader starts as a leader of one, and that one is you. And I think that's one of the most important things for people to do is to constantly evaluate themselves and to be honest with themselves.
So was there a point where you were like, I feel like I know who I am? When did you realize that this was the path you wanted? Was there a specific time?
It was, there really was. I went to work for Primerica. At that time, it was known as A.L. Williams. In 1982, I was getting ready to start working on my MBA at Georgia State University at night. And in all honesty, the job was close to my apartment. And that's what I was looking for while I got my MBA, and I had a title like business analyst. And the company grew very, very rapidly under Art Williams, who was the founder of the company, an incredibly dynamic man and great leader and a true mentor in my life in so many ways. But at that time, I moved up. I wound up a vice president, and I was running an area of the company. But in truth, I was just in a management position within the organization. Art sold the company to Sandy Weil and what became Citigroup, but at that time it was called Primerica. And the transaction closed at the end of 1989. And by June of the next year, Art was gone. And the company went culture shock. That's the title of the chapter in the book. That's not even a good description. And it was a complete change from a Southern high school football coach entrepreneurial culture to these Wall Street brilliant people. I mean, I was dealing with Sandy Weil, Jamie Dimon, Bob Lipp, all, who wound up CEO of Travelers. I mean, amazing, Wall Street legends. But the company and that culture, there couldn't have been a worse fit of cultures. And I was just a kid that was over an area, and I really stepped out on a limb. Can't go into all of it here. People need to read the book. They'll get the whole story. But I stepped out on the limb to a very uncomfortable place because I had spent a lot of time and I understood the culture of the company. And I earned the respect of Sandy, Jamie, all of the crew from New York. We had a wonderful gentleman, Pete Dawkins, who won the Heisman at Army in 58, who came down as a CEO. And I earned their respect and trust. And I really stepped into an uncomfortable place and became a leader in the organization. And in a period of less than 5 years, I went from kind of a mid-level VP in the company to president of the company. And so it was at a time I have found in my experience that in times of chaos, challenge, confusion, and crisis, if you're the right leader and if you're the right person and you know what you're doing, that's when you can emerge. And it was during that time that I really gained the inner confidence in myself that I could do it. And that I wasn't just this guy waiting for the smart guys in the room to tell me what to do, that I could do what I needed to do, and that I had the courage and I had the talent to step out on a limb, okay, to an uncomfortable place and really take over a leadership role. So it was at that time, early in the 1990s, that happened for me.
Wow. So that's wonderful. Your book's Real Leadership, and I think it'd be great as we're concluding this interview. We've just got like one more minute left. I would love to do some just rapid fire questions that are away from what's in the book, and just do some here's the real John Addison. So,
right.
All right. So let me just they're just fun questions. But we'll go quick. So if this song comes on the radio, you're listening in the car, you find yourself singing out loud no matter what would that song be?
Well, let me give you, thank God for Pandora Radio, by the way.
Right.
Okay, because otherwise any song I would listen to would not be on the radio. But I'll give you two. One would be Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes by Jimmy Buffett.
Nice.
And then the second one would be a guy many of you people probably never heard of, Jerry Jeff Walker, a great singer from Texas. He has a song called Hill Country Rain, which is about just going dancing through life and having a great attitude. So if either of those songs come on my Pandora feed in my car in a completely out of key, out of tune way, I'm singing along with it.
We'll record that next time.
Yeah.
So, all right. What's the biggest adventure you've had in the past year?
Okay, the two of them. One, my wife and I went to England back in the summer for the International Church Winston Churchill Conference, which was on the 50th anniversary of his passing. And it was an amazing event. A lot of scholars from around the world really on the life and leadership of Winston Churchill. And then from that, my wife and I spent 2 weeks in France, which was absolutely an amazing time. So that was one adventure that I really enjoyed. And then the other has been this transition. It has been a year of adventure in 2015, and it's been very rewarding and very exciting.
So I know you have a PhD in ADD, but you also, I know, learn a lot from reading. So what books do you have on your nightstand or on your Kindle?
Right now, the book that I'm about a third of the way through is called Never Surrender. It's by an author named John Kelly, and it's about the year 1940 and kind of Winston Churchill taking over in May from Neville Chamberlain as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and the things that he went through.
Love it. And the final question, and this is perfect for you in your new position, how do you define success?
Well, it would kind of come full circle to what your book's about. I define it as happiness. Look, I know a lot of wealthy people who, if you met them, you'd go, they're the most miserable person I've ever met in my life. I believe success is happiness, is wherever you're at in life. I mean, I know people that are school teachers that don't make a lot of money, but they're incredibly happy. They're very fulfilled in their life. And then I know business executives that have, accounts full of money and are incredibly miserable. So life's short. Enjoy it. Be happy. Have a good time. So that's what I think success is.
Well, I love it. That's fantastic. So this is Sean Acor. I've been speaking with John Addison about his new book, Real Leadership, which is just coming out, which you should absolutely read if you really want to find a way to create real success, real happiness, and real leadership in your life. This has been a wonderful opportunity to get to connect with you. I'm so excited about your new position at Success. It makes me, even more excited about the Success team, John. And I just wanted to thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, Sean, it was great talking to you. I look forward to a great future, and I look forward to get to know you even better in the future.
Me too. Thank you, John.
So I heard something interesting and oddly coincidental in Sean Acor's interview with our leadership